What happened in that residence was nothing short of a massacre.
At this point, I just wish the nightmare would be over.
Imagine waking up on an ordinary Monday morning. The house is silent, too silent. You're 10 years old, and something feels wrong. You walk through the hallway, your heart racing. The box fan hums in the background, a white noise that can't drown out the eerie stillness. One by one, you enter the rooms of your family members, and then you see it. Blood everywhere. Your father, your mother, your 3 brothers, all dead, and you, the youngest, are the only one left alive. This isn't a nightmare. This is the true story of the Candy family. A story that would shock an entire community. A story that would make everyone ask, how could a loving father transform into a killer in one devastating night? This is the Candy family tragedy. It's in the heart of Yukon, Oklahoma, where suburban landscapes stretch wide and dreams take root. The Candy family represented everything an American family could aspire to be. Jonathan Candy was 42, a man whose infectious humor and seemingly boundless love for his family painted him as the quintessential devoted father, working part-time at the Paycom Center and as a game night engineer for the OKC Thunder. He moved through life with an easygoing demeanor that endeared him to neighbors and colleagues alike. His wife, Lindsay, equally vibrant at 42, was deeply connected to her community, rooted in the small-town traditions of Prague, Oklahoma. Their family photograph would have looked perfect on any holiday card. 4 sons, each unique, each representing different stages of childhood and adolescence. Dylan, the eldest at 18, was a musician with dreams bigger than his current circumstances. A first-year student at Oklahoma Baptist University, he played the bass drum in the Bison Brigade, his passion for music evident in every performance. His band director would later describe him as a young man who could light up a room, whose dedication and joy were infectious. Ethan, 14, was the family's baseball prodigy. Coaches spoke of him not just as an athlete, but as a beacon of positivity. His teammate Cooper Armstrong would recall how Ethan could transform any difficult day into a moment of laughter. "They call us twins," Cooper would say, highlighting the deep bond Ethan shared with his teammates and friends. TJ Armstrong, his coach, fondly nicknamed him the Candyman, a testament to the light he brought to every baseball practice and game. Lucas, just 12, was the quintessential younger brother, always playing, always moving. During baseball practices, he'd be seen running between bleachers, throwing balls, embodying the pure, unbridled joy of childhood. His energy was a constant reminder of life's simple pleasures. The youngest, whose name remains protected, was 10, the silent observer, the unexpected survivor of a nightmare that would shatter their family's seemingly perfect world. From the outside, the Candy household hummed with normalcy. Jonathan was known for helping neighbors, fixing cars, mowing lawns, flying drones with friends. Lindsay was involved in community activities. Their sons were active, well-adjusted, pursuing their passions in sports and music. But beneath this veneer of domestic harmony, something was brewing, a darkness that would eventually consume everything. Close friends like neighbor Bertram would later reveal that Jonathan had confided about struggling with depression. It was a quiet admission, shared between friends, never hinting at the catastrophic potential of those inner battles. The baseball community, particularly the Mustang Youth Sports League, saw the Candys as the epitome of a supportive family. Parents would gather, watching their children play, with the Candy family often at the center, Jonathan cheering, Lindsay supporting, the boys playing with infectious enthusiasm. No one could have predicted the tragedy that would unfold on an ordinary April morning in 2024, a day that would transform this picture-perfect family into a haunting case study of hidden pain, unspoken struggles, and the devastating consequences of unaddressed mental health challenges. The stage was set for a story that would shock a community, raise profound questions about family dynamics, and leave an entire town grappling with the unpredictable nature of human suffering. Little did they know, behind the smiles and the baseball practices, a storm was gathering, silent, invisible, and ultimately destructive, April 22nd, 2024, a date that would be etched into the collective memory of Yukon, Oklahoma forever. The morning started like any other in the Candy household, quiet, seemingly peaceful, with no indication of the horror that had unfolded during the night. The youngest Candy's son, just 10 years old, stirred in his bedroom. The world around him was unnaturally silent, save for the steady hum of a box fan that had been running throughout the night. Investigators would later note this detail, the fan potentially masking any sounds of the unthinkable that had occurred just rooms away. As consciousness crept in, something felt different. The house carried a weight, a stillness that was fundamentally wrong. The boy, whose innocence would be shattered in moments, made his way out of his room. Each step likely felt surreal, disconnected from the reality he was about to discover. At 9:30 in the morning, a 911 call would pierce the quiet of the Yukon neighborhood. The voice on the other end was young, trembling, reporting a scene that would haunt first responders for years to come. Everyone inside the home appears to be dead, the child reported with a chilling composure that spoke volumes about the shock he was experiencing. When Oklahoma City police arrived at the home near Southwest 29th Street in Czech Hall Road, the scene confirmed the young boy's terrifying report. Lindsay Candy, 42, and three of her sons, Dylan, 18, Ethan, 14, and Lucas, 12, were found shot dead. Jonathan Candy, the father, lay nearby, a self-inflicted gunshot wound, telling the final chapter of this devastating story. Sergeant Gary Knight from the Oklahoma City Police Department would later describe the unique circumstances of the youngest child's survival. Somehow, miraculously, he had slept through the entire incident. The closed door, the box fan, these seemingly mundane details became critical pieces of a puzzle that would perplex investigators. The forensic team's initial investigation revealed a complex scene. Multiple firearms were collected from the home: rifles, guns, a shotgun. Evidence suggested some had been recently fired. A glass pipe with burnt leafy residue added another layer of complexity to an already incomprehensible situation. Forensic psychologists would later speculate about the inexplicable nature of the crime. Dr. Joni Johnston noted the rarity of such incidents where a perpetrator leaves a survivor, particularly the youngest child. What could have been going through Jonathan Candy's mind in those final moments? What internal struggles had led to this catastrophic decision? The community's initial response was a mixture of shock and profound grief. This wasn't a family with a history of visible domestic violence or public conflicts. Jonathan had been described by neighbors as helpful. The surviving child became the center of a community's collective heartache. A GoFundMe campaign was quickly established by his uncle, Brent Remorowski, to support the young boy's future. The funds would cover funeral expenses, counseling, education, and general welfare, a financial lifeline for a child who had lost everything in a single morning. Investigators faced the challenging task of unraveling a motive. Financial records were scrutinized. Employment histories were examined. Mental health histories were carefully investigated. Yet, the fundamental question remained: why? What could drive a seemingly loving father to commit such an unthinkable act against his own family? The Candy family tragedy became more than just a crime. It transformed into a painful reflection on mental health, family dynamics, and the often invisible struggles that can exist behind closed doors. A reminder that sometimes the most dangerous battles are those fought in silence, hidden beneath a veneer of normalcy. As the investigation continued, one thing became clear: this was not just a story about a crime, but a profound human tragedy that would leave an indelible mark on a community forever changed. In the days following the tragedy, Yukon, Oklahoma transformed into a landscape of collective grief and bewilderment. The Mustang Youth Sports Complex became ground zero for a community's mourning, a place where the echoes of lost potential reverberated most painfully. Ethan's baseball team gathered for a vigil that would become a pivotal moment of collective healing. TJ Armstrong, the team's head coach, stood before a sea of shocked faces. his voice breaking as he attempted to make sense of the incomprehensible. "I could live 1,00,000 lifetimes and never expect this out of that family," he said.
This is something, I could live 100,000 lifetimes and never expect this out of that.
His words capturing the universal disbelief that gripped the community. Wyatt Livesey, Ethan's best friend, spoke with a raw vulnerability that cut through the shock. "I could have never imagined that, ever, in my whole entire life," he admitted.
I could have never imagined that ever in my whole entire life, and I'm still in shock.
His statement a testament to the profound disconnect between the family they knew and the tragedy that had unfolded. Rhonda Armstrong, known as the Teen Mom, articulated the collective sentiment of a community in mourning. "At this point, I just wish the nightmare would be over," she said, her words hanging in the air like a desperate prayer.
I had to see it for myself. I kept asking Cooper to please snap and text Ethan, and has he seen Ethan today? Has he talked to him? And I was calling Lindsay, and I was messaging Dylan, and nobody would respond.
The investigation began to peel back layers of the Candy family's life, searching for any hint of the impending darkness. Neighbors like Bertram, who had known Jonathan for years, struggled to reconcile the man they thought they knew with the perpetrator of such a heinous act. Dylan, Candy's music director at Oklahoma Baptist University, Brian Stackhouse, painted a picture of a young man full of potential and joy. He recounted a moment from band camp where Dylan's excitement over a drum solo illuminated his passion. His eyes just lit up like dinner plates. Stackhouse remembered, the memory now tinged with an unbearable sadness. Investigators delved deeper, examining every aspect of Jonathan Candy's life. His part-time work at the Paycom Center and as a game night engineer for the OKC Thunder revealed no immediate red flags. Financial records were meticulously scrutinized, searching for any signs of stress or impending crisis. The discovery of a glass pipe with burnt leafy residue added another layer of complexity to the investigation. Was this evidence of deeper struggles, a coping mechanism, or simply an unrelated detail in a much larger puzzle? Mental health experts began to piece together a potential narrative. Jonathan had privately confided in his neighbor about struggles with depression, an admission that now took on a dramatically different significance. Dr. Joni Johnston, a clinical and forensic psychologist, emphasized the rarity of such incidents, particularly the decision to spare the youngest child. The surviving 10-year-old became a focal point of both concern and hope. As weeks passed, the initial shock began to transform into a deeper, more nuanced grief. The Candy family was no longer just a tragedy, but a complex narrative of human struggle, mental health, and the sometimes invisible battles fought behind closed doors. As the investigation continued, one thing became painfully clear: some mysteries might never be fully understood. Behind every family tragedy lies a labyrinth of complex psychological landscapes, and the Candy family's story was no exception. Forensic experts and mental health professionals would spend months attempting to unravel the intricate web of emotions, pressures, and internal conflicts that could drive a father to commit the unthinkable. Jonathan Candy's life appeared, on the surface, to be a tapestry of stability and purpose. His part-time work at the Paycom Center and as a game night engineer for the OKC Thunder suggested a man balancing multiple responsibilities. Neighbors described him as helpful, always ready to assist with car repairs or lawn maintenance. Yet, beneath this veneer of competence, a more complicated narrative was taking shape. Bertram, a close neighbor and friend, revealed a critical piece of the psychological puzzle. He and Jonathan had shared private conversations about their struggles with depression, a confession that now took on a dramatically different significance. These were not casual admissions, but glimpses into a deeper, more profound mental health challenge that had been quietly brewing. Dr. Alina Rodriguez, a forensic psychologist specializing in family violence, explained that cases like the Candy family tragedy often stem from a complex interplay of factors. "We're looking at a potential perfect storm of psychological pressures," she would later comment. Depression, financial stress, Feelings of inadequacy and a sense of losing control can converge in devastating ways. The forensic investigation uncovered subtle but significant details. The presence of a glass pipe with burnt leafy residue suggested potential substance use, another potential indicator of underlying psychological distress. Toxicology reports and further investigation would be crucial in understanding the full psychological landscape. What made the Candy case particularly perplexing was Jonathan's decision to spare his youngest son. Dr. Joni Johnston noted the rarity of such an action in murder cases. It suggests a level of cognitive processing that doesn't align with typical patterns of familial violence. She explained, "Was this an act of final mercy, a moment of unexpected clarity, or something more complex?" Financial records told a nuanced story. While the family didn't appear to be in dire straits, subtle pressures might have been mounting. Part-time work, the challenges of supporting 4 sons, the cost of extracurricular activities like baseball and music, these could create a slow-burning stress that might go unnoticed by those outside the immediate family. The boys' individual trajectories added another layer of complexity. Dylan, family dynamics experts, pointed to the importance of recognizing subtle signs of mental health challenges. Lindsay's role in the family became a critical point of analysis. How much did she know about Jonathan's internal struggles? Were there conversations left unspoken? Warning signs missed in the daily chaos of family life? The surviving 10-year-old became a critical witness to a tragedy he barely understood. Psychological experts emphasize the importance of comprehensive support for child survivors of such traumatic events. The fundraising efforts weren't just about financial support, but about creating a foundation for healing and recovery. Community responses revealed a deeper societal challenge. The initial shock quickly transformed into conversations about mental health awareness, the importance of support systems, and the danger of allowing psychological struggles to remain hidden. The Candy family tragedy wasn't just about a single moment of violence. It was a profound exploration of the invisible burdens people carry, the silent struggles that can consume families, and the critical importance of mental health support. The surviving 10-year-old became a symbol of resilience, supported by his extended family and a community that refused to let him be defined by tragedy. He began the long journey of healing. His uncle, Brent Romorowski, continued to provide updates, emphasizing the long-term support needed for a child who had lost everything in a single moment. Memorial efforts became a crucial part of the community's healing process. The Mustang Youth Sports Complex planned a bench in Ethan's honor, a permanent tribute to a young life cut short. His baseball teammates and coaches spoke of Ethan's ability to bring joy, to make people laugh even in the darkest moments. Dylan's music department at Oklahoma Baptist University created a lasting memorial. His bass drum and marching band uniform were retired, a poignant reminder of a promising young musician whose potential would never be fully realized. Brian Stackhouse, the band director, established a scholarship in Dylan's name, ensuring that Dylan's passion for music would continue to inspire others. Mental health professionals used the Candy family tragedy as a critical case study. Workshops, seminars, and community discussions emerged, focusing on recognizing the signs of mental health struggles and the importance of support systems. Jonathan's private battles with depression became a powerful catalyst for broader conversations about mental health awareness. The GoFundMe campaign that raised funds for the surviving child became more than just a financial lifeline. It represented a community's collective commitment to healing, supporting a child who had experienced an unimaginable loss. Their story highlighted the critical need for open conversations about mental health, family support, and the importance of seeking help. If you've been touched by the Candy family story, we ask you to take a moment to reflect and act. Like this video, share with someone who needs to hear this story. Comment your thoughts and reflections. Subscribe to our channel for more true crime documentaries. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, stay aware, stay connected.